And then before we get started, we put on the website and on the consultation form where we record training sessions, Zoom sessions, consultations. They help people like yourself find us.
Yeah.
So you've had Benji 3.5 months.
Yes, 4 now, more.
4 now.
Yeah, 4.
He's had a few bites.
Yes.
He had issues in the past with aggression.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have a trainer that you did a couple lessons with, and then a phone consult.
Yes,
Okay.
kind of. I was losing my mind here. I thought we were doing better. So he was my aunt and uncle's dog.
Okay.
Kind of a difficult environment to be raised in, let's say. A lot of different personalities. Their kids are, yeah, I would say like he probably saw a lot of stuff, a lot of like kind of blow ups, aggression around their house.
Tension.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and he was never crate trained or anything. So I think he felt like he didn't have like a safe space to go to. So he was fine like the first 3 years at their house. Then like the last 1.5 years that they had him, he started having like almost, not daily at first, it escalated, but towards the end it was like almost daily aggression, like bites and everything.
Okay.
They were gonna put him down, and I was like, I feel like I have a really stable home. I've done a lot of like, I don't know, I helped train my parents' dog.
Sure.
They brought him here, and he was very like reactive and like had some aggression stuff too. So I was like, let me see if I can help. He's been a lot better since I've had him. Like overall, it's not daily bites. He's not aggressive towards me at all. Although he did bite me when I picked him up at my aunt and uncle's house. He got me really good, but I'm like, okay.
Where did it get you?
So he's kind of like a double biter. He got me on the hand, and then he went back in and lunged. He loves a leg.
Okay.
So those are kind of like his 2 main spots. But yeah, he was aggressive trying to put the leash on. They didn't warn me and like have him sit or give him a treat or anything, because he's kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay. He's so sweet and loving, and it's hard to like explain. Like he is so good 97% of the time. And with me, 100% of the time, and I'm not like tiptoeing around him or anything. If I tell him to sit and he doesn't sit, I smack his butt down and I'm like, you gotta sit. And if he has to do what I say, and I'm very much like don't tiptoe around him. But he's had, at first it was like understood aggression, like resource guarding, even over me. We've kind of broken that a bit more. But now he's had a couple of what I would call like unprovoked, or like unexplained. Like I can't reason with it. I think he just has triggers that he needs to like learn to control.
Okay. What are those? What would be those examples?
So both of these were within a week of each other.
Okay.
That's when I like reached out to you guys, because I was like freaking out. One was my sister, who's like his favorite person besides, like, if I'm A, she's B. She lives in my same building and everything, and she was over. We were sitting next to each other on the couch, and he was laying under her legs, which I think is some sort of like trigger. I think he feels safe under people's legs and things. And he does have a pen now at my house that he can go and lay in that's like covered for him. But I was texting someone, and the table, I guess my feet were up on the table, and it moved the table a little bit. And she was like, Megan, he's looking at me a little weird. And I was like, oh, he's probably fine. Like he had gone like about a month at that point without anything, lunging, anything, growling. And she was like, so she reached down to pet him, and he like even kind of rolled over a little bit and like gave her his stomach. And she was like, but she said he had this weird look in his eyes. So she like went to go sit back, and that's when he just like, so that was the first one. And then like 3 days after that, he was at my friend's house, who's been with like multiple times, with me, without me. And he was whining at the door. She was watching him for me, and he was whining at the door to go outside. She has like a yard. She went to go open the door, and that was like really bad. Like she had to go to urgent care and everything. Like it was a really bad bite.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was the one that, and both kind of like, in my, like, I can't reason with why he would have felt that way unless if it was like going over his head or something. But I'm like, we need to like control the triggers. It's
okay. In my mind, I already kind of envision stuff.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, there's no such thing as an unprovoked dog.
Okay.
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 Dogs don't do things for no reason, and sometimes the reason can be something the human doesn't understand.
Okay.
Sometimes the warning can be so subtle you don't see it. Okay. And most people don't read body language good anyways.
Right.
Because we have words now.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But even then, like sometimes someone tells you something and it doesn't sit right because you're reading their body language, and that their body language tells you like they're probably lying.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like you feel something's wrong, but you're like, but they said this.
Right.
Especially if it's somebody you really trust, right?
Right.
Like logically, you can feel the, what is it, cognitive dissonance. But since we don't read body language too much anymore, especially with dogs, like a lot of things can be overlooked. Okay. So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So the table thing. Okay. So he's under your friend's legs.
Yes.
You're on your phone, you're texting, your legs are up on the table. You subtly move the table. Your friend looks down. She sees him giving her an awkward look. So that's where it starts. Okay?
Yeah.
So maybe it was you moving the table, right?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe he was already feeling uncomfortable, but because you moved the table, she decided to look. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like you know, or maybe she moved her legs a little bit, and she's not aware of it, because the human goes, "Is he okay with dogs?"
Yeah, he is.
Okay. And let's say she just like uncrossed and crossed her legs, right? The human doesn't think of that as a bad thing.
Right.
Or they know, like you don't even think about it, you just do it.
Right.
Right? So they're not even aware, and that could have been the trigger. Because there's a lot of things that we do that we're not aware of that trigger the dog, and then that's where it happens. Does that make sense? So so I can't tell you, obviously, because I wasn't there, I didn't see it, but I've heard these stories so many times.
Right.
As I go, these are possibilities. So whatever, one of those things, she looks down, she sees him, but then she pushed the problem because she touched him.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
He was going, I don't know how I feel right now.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Whatever the catalyst was. And she's like, oh, you know, let me fix this by giving you some love.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what she was thinking.
And he's like, I'm not in a mood where I want to be touched right now. Does that make sense? And even though he rolled over, because the other thing is, if she leaned over to pet him and he rolled over, dogs a lot of times do things reactively.
I see.
So reactively, he just goes, and it could have been a submissive role. And if you look at my eyes, how I'm opening them up, that's something that we may not see.
Right.
So he could have been like this, like I'm not a threat.
Oh, yeah.
But when she removed herself, he's like, now's my opportunity, and now I'm gonna come
Go
for you.
in, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So not a concrete answer, because obviously I didn't see it.
Right.
But that's in my head. Like when my clients tell me stuff, I'm literally seeing everything in my head.
Right.
Because I've worked with dogs so much, and I go,
Right.
okay, this is probably what happened. Okay. The door thing. He's at the door, he's whining or whatever, right?
Right.
Friend gets up to go let him out.
Yes.
Did they say if they were saying anything to him?
I don't know.
So
I'd have to ask.
So this is a big variable. Okay.
Off.
Again, people doing things they don't perceive as bad. Oh, hey, buddy, you got to go outside. You got to use the bathroom. Let me open the door for you, right? And now you get stimulated, and a lot of dogs don't like that energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then she goes to open the door, and he's like, I don't like your energy. And then the attack happens.
Right.
It could also be he was territorial over the door within that moment.
Right.
And then, you know, yes, he was, and it's what's the word? Conflicting. Because you're like, but he's telling her to let him out.
Right.
I'm like, right, but it doesn't mean he can't just say like, this is my door and I don't want you near it.
Right.
Like these things do happen, right?
Okay.
Like they're contradictory to, you know, the situation, but stuff like that happens.
Right.
Right, where a client's like, oh, Jesse, like, my dog came up to me like this, and I was petting him, right? And all of a sudden they start growling and snapped at my face.
Yeah.
It's contradictory because the dog
Right.
came up wanting affection, and then after, you know, a time decided I don't want it.
Right.
And I was like, well, it could be you gave too much affection, your energy, hey buddy, this and that, blah blah.
Right.
And the dog goes, I don't like it.
Right.
Maybe you gave affection too long, right? You ever seen a dog where they sniff and everything's going fine, and then one dog goes, oh, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay.
So like they're setting a boundary, but the human goes aggression, and I go boundary. There's a difference there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right,
Because
yes.
a dog using aggression and a dog setting a boundary is both teeth related. But to the human who doesn't know this, it's aggression.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So like I get dogs that, oh, Jesse, I was at the dog park and another dog mounted my dog and my dog became aggressive. I'm like, they didn't become aggressive. I'm like, they were just setting a boundary.
Right.
Aggressive is like, I want to hurt you for the intent of hurting you, as opposed to I'm going to use my fight response to tell you to respect my space because I don't want to be mounted.
Right. Right.
Because dogs don't have words.
Right.
right? A human could say, hey, please don't mount me.
Yeah, right.
But probably at that point, you'd probably punch them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that wouldn't be seen as aggressive. But for dogs, you can see how it gets misconstrued and misread and misinterpreted, right? So that's how I would see those two situations. The other, had he been with that friend before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's only been up to 4 months now that you've had this guy.
Yes.
How many times has he been with that friend?
Alone 2 or 3 times staying with her, but like together like 10 plus. And she has a dog too that he's friends with, and like so.
Yeah. Because the other thing I would think of, and you just answered my question, is like if it was his first time there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we know that's not the answer.
Right.
Because this is example. Had a client that had a little Yorkie, 5-8 pounds.
Okay.
Bit the ant.
Oh.
Okay. And bit the ant coming into the home. And first time this has ever happened, I was like 5 years old or whatever. And like, Jesse, we don't get it. Just out of nowhere, he attacked our aunt. So I go, she's been to your house before? And they go, yes. And I go, when people come over, do you meet them? Do they come up? Do you let them in? What happens? So like, oh, they bring the buzzer, he barks, and then we open the door and they come in. And I go, okay, did she come in unannounced? And they said, yes. I go, that's why she got bit.
I see.
You see that? Like, little discrepancies like that.
Right.
But I know that through experience and understanding dog behavior. And as I go, almost always there's a ritual. Buzzer, open the door, hello, mom and dad are here, right? But this one time came because they had a baby. So they were both in the nursery attending to the, so they said doors open and well, come on in.
Right.
Because nobody's anticipating that.
Right.
And the dog's like, whoa, mom and dad are with the baby. You're entering our home. Yes, I've seen you before.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they know that you're invited in.
I see.
So let me protect the house.
Okay.
Right. And I was like, if that had been a person of ill intent, we wouldn't even be here.
Right.
You would have given your dog a steak.
Right.
Right. Same exact scenario, different person.
Right.
You see that?
Yeah.
So that's just the differences with the nuances of dog behavior, just kind of seeing things like they see it. But for those two, that's what my brain comes up to.
Okay.
In terms of an answer, because in 15 years, I've never seen a dog unpredictably attack someone.
Okay.
I've had many people say my dog unpredictably attacked someone, and then once they give me the details, I go, this is why your dog attacked them. It's not unpredictable.
So I guess like, I get what you're saying, because I think that too. I think because he's sweet so much of the time and he doesn't do it to me, I think in his mind, he's right with what he's doing. But how do I get him to not make his first response attack? Yeah.
So, with your previous training, what did you do?
We do a lot of like impulse control training, so like a lot of leash training, wait at the door. We've ramped that up now since the incidents, because like we can't be doing this. A lot trying to like work on, like I have him stand up. We kind of play like red light, green light. I have him stand out. That it's your choice game with the food in the hand.
It has nothing to do with the aggression.
Okay, I'm like, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. That's why I'm like, I just didn't know. I felt like I had to do something. I'm like, oh.
No, you're fine. Because you don't know. Yeah. Right? And that's why I'm here. But you did work with the trainer two times, right?
Oh yeah, the trainer did. He was also, the trainer was mostly for my parents' dog who hates other dogs, to train my parents' dog. And then he did a little bit with Benji too, like where he'd walk my parents' dog around, like past him, kind of like in his territory, and like try to and he did one time trigger him, and it was a lot of that. It was more practical too, of like, what do I do if he bites? Like teaching me kind of how to handle it and what to do and how to maneuver him.
So how did he teach you how to correct Benji for the aggression?
He did say like kind of grab his collar and like pull him, but not really like correct. I just like yell at him more, and then but
So the reason why Benji has gotten worse is, well, one, he was with the previous family, 5 years old, correct?
Yes.
And he said the last 3 years is when things really kind of mounted up. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what can happen is over the course of time, frustration builds, and then we start to see more and more. And I think you said something like it was becoming like, first it was like every now and then it became every month, every week, and then it just starts ramping up.
Right.
That's typically how that works.
Okay.
And then you take him out of the frustration situation, and he settles a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was 3 out of 5 years of his life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, to a degree, a habit now.
Right.
Much better. So the way a trainer put to me once before was, if you take an unstable dog and you put him in an unstable environment, very unstable dog. You put them in a stable environment, they get better, but they're still at a core unstable.
Right.
Okay. If you take a stable dog, unstable environment, right? Unstable dog, remove them, stable environment, stable dog. And I agree with that.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff that trainers say that I go, I don't agree with that, doesn't make sense.
Right.
This I go, that makes sense. Okay. Is that, to a degree, there's some instability there, right? Because now he's in a more stable home, much more stable home, much more progress, even in the short 3.5, 4 months that you've had him.
Right.
But it's still there a little bit. And it can be because at a core he is a little bit unstable.
Yeah.
And or it can be, if 3 or 5 years of his life were this tension, aggression, frustration, right? Like 4 months is like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
If you look at that, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you've been doing things, but they're not things that actually do anything for the behavior.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the easiest way to explain this would be,
leave it.
if a dog did something to him and he didn't like it, what do you think Benji would do to stop that dog?
Yeah, definitely, like, correct him.
Yeah, nip and bite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, correct. And the problem that you have is that nobody's done that back to him. He hasn't been bitten back.
Right.
Okay. And until somebody bites him back, to a degree, it's free reign.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's consequences, punishers are meant to deter things. That's why they exist. Positive reinforcement is meant to encourage things. That's why it also exists, right? So like, let's say with a case like Benji, someone might go like, oh, I just need to earn his trust. I'm gonna give him a lot of treats and stuff, right? Sure, maybe he earns the dog's trust.
Right.
But then one day they do something and Benji goes, I don't like that you're doing that, and I'm gonna correct you. No one's ever told him he can't do that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's why the behavior persists.
I
Okay.
see.
So if you never correct the problem, you'll stay stuck where you're at.
Right.
Okay, where it's going to be like, oh, he's been great for 8 months, and then somebody looked at him wrong, and then he bit them, or
And that's what
whatever.
I'm worried about, is like, how am I going to be able to trust him again
Hey,
at that point?
yeah,
You know?
that's my client.
Oh, no way,
they
funny.
live like right there.
That's so funny.
So, yes. So now there's more around it. Okay. So there are some dogs that, if you are really trying to obviously work on the problem, but then make sure the problem doesn't kind of rear its head, also comes down to that person's particular knowledge. Okay. So like, I get clients with dogs, and we'll train them, whatever, aggression or whatever, and they go, no one can take my dog, because they don't know how to implement the training, they don't know how to reinforce the training, they don't know what to do if something escalates. And I go, it's okay, I can take your dog. That's why I'm here. Right? Is you can still leave Benji with a friend, but remember, they don't understand, especially if you're the one doing the training.
Yeah.
You're learning everything. Like right now, I'm assuming you've learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then, so now you have this knowledge, but they're not going to have that knowledge. Right. So again, if it's like, oh, you got to go to the bathroom, let me sweet talk to you as I walk to you, not knowing that could be a potential trigger.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But again, to them, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just doing what people do. They're just doing what we've been conditioned to do, right? You see, oh, look at the puppy.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that's where the problem is.
Okay.
Whereas for me, like, for example, I have a dog that I have to pick up on Thursday, this coming Thursday. It's a dog that I train, very territorial over the home. Okay. Made great progress. I can have people come over, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
But they're gonna be gone, and they emailed first, which is very nice. They're like, is Jesse comfortable coming in if we're not home because of his territorial behavior?
Right.
And I said, yeah, just make sure he's got his e-collar on, and then just leave the remote outside hanging on the doorknob, and I'll pick him up, no problem.
Okay.
Right? Because I already know how to do that.
Right.
But any other place would be, you got to bring them the day before, because we're not sending a staff member into a potential situation, because they don't know what to do. Right. And I get it. It's safer. It's the better option.
Yeah.
But because I know what to do, I go, yeah, not a problem. Just make sure the collar's on. Make sure it's charged.
Right.
Leave the remote on the door. So if I need it right away, I can correct them and I'll grab them, and then no problem.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Right.
Okay. Is Benji has the opportunity, or the, I guess, option to be a really good dog
Yeah.
with a really good owner. But everybody else is a variable.
I see what you're saying. So it's almost like just kind of don't put them in a situation without someone that knows
what
his
they're doing.
rules.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Now,
That
like,
makes
let's say
sense.
you had like a roommate or something, and then they also were part of the training, and they're hearing everything that you're hearing.
Right.
Right. That's different.
Okay.
Because now they're learning as you're learning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only thing that holds them back is everybody learns differently, and everybody's willing to only do so much.
Yeah.
Right. So if they're like a really soft, like, oh, but Benji's so sweet, look at him, he's a little floof.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to do the e-collar, like he's good with me without it. Right. They could take care of him, but sooner or later something's
It's
going to happen.
yeah.
Right? And then they're not going to have the tools because he's going, okay, mom will do the discipline.
Right.
You don't do the discipline.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So those are the nuances that come along with a dog like Benji.
Right.
If you had like just a happy-go-lucky dog, like it'd be like, oh, just obedience and who cares? Everybody could take care of my dog, right?
Right.
But it's because of that. It comes down to their actual knowledge of dog behavior.
I see.
And is it correct?
Okay.
Okay. Question on any of that stuff?
No, I think that makes sense. Now I'm feeling like, oh God, I'm like guilty. I'm like been putting him around other people or having.
But you don't know.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. Yeah. You don't know. And it's another thing like, let's say moving forward you don't do training or whatever, right? But you still have to leave the dog with somebody.
Right.
Let's just make him aware.
Yeah.
Like the best way for him to be with the person is they completely ignore him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They walk him, they feed him, and that's about it.
That's what I always say. I'm like, treat him like a cat. Like, don't over attention. Even though he'll come up, say he wants pets, whatever. Give him a little pat, send him on his way. Like, it's better. That's how I operate with him. Even though he feels loved. We go on walks, we do good things,
No,
but
no.
like,
Love
but
isn't,
it's
like,
not, doting.
Humans are exactly.
Yeah.
Love is, okay, you're a special guy,
Yeah.
right? And yes, walks, discipline,
Yeah.
a roof over his head. Obviously, if something happens with him, like he needs a vaccination or whatever,
Right.
you're going to take care of that, right? All the things that that are necessities to him,
Yeah.
right? The affection is for the human.
Yes.
The affection makes us feel good,
Right.
okay? Sure, the dog might like it, but they don't need it,
Right.
right? He doesn't need that to live.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Because people tell me like, Jesse, do you even love your dogs? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
My dogs used to go for me. They're 15 now, but back in my heyday when we were younger, hour and a half walk every morning.
Yeah.
They would come with me a lot because I'm a dog trainer, so they could come with me to work.
Right.
They've had a great life. They're just 15 now.
Right.
And I have a son now, so like all my love now goes to my son.
Yes,
But
right.
they've had a great life. So, but yeah, that's all just human guilt. Okay,
Right.
that's all that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming before booking this, you read up on how I train and the methods that I use.
Yes.
Okay, so I use e-collar and prong collar, right? Prong collar I use very rarely. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the prong collar?
Yes.
Why do you how it looks, the spiky one?
Yes.
Why do you think it looks that way?
It corrects them, right? I don't think it hurts them. I think it tells them like, no, it's the same. He's actually wearing a slip collar right now. So it's kind of like a similar method, right? Of like, it's almost like their mother's teeth,
Yes.
right?
There you go. That's what I was waiting for. Yes, it's like another dog bite. That's why it looks that way. Okay. It can look very menacing, but once you understand the psychology behind it, you're like,
Right.
oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then, as FYI for you, when I first started training 15 years ago, I was completely anti e-collar, anti
really?
slip chain or choke chain, as they
Yeah.
called it at the time.
Yeah.
Prong collar and stuff because I thought it was barbaric.
Yeah.
But then I was clicker only food, and then I learned very quickly the low ceiling that food only has.
Right.
So then I went to slip lead.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so much better. And
Right.
then I went to prong collar. I'm like, oh, this is even better. And then
Okay.
I went to e-collar. Like I kind of just little by little.
Yeah.
So I am very well versed in all the methods.
Okay.
But they are great tools. The
Right.
only reason why I don't use prong collar anymore is it takes a lot of technical skill.
Right.
This takes a lot of technical skill.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is good. So if you can use this very well, then when you put on a prong collar, you're just that much better.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he'd be good with honestly, he's like really good on a leash. That's like not our problem. Our problem is in the house. So I'm really excited to learn about the e-collar so I can have that correction. Like when I first got this, he didn't want to put it on. He was literally like, because he knew it's like correcting him. He has to stay in line when he has it on. But I think the e-collar will be good for him because like I'll be able to have that control over him.
Yes, on or off leash. That is correct. So Prong collars I use typically, like if it's a, let's say I had a client once, she was like 5 foot. She had a 140-pound Great Dane.
Oh.
And he was dog reactive.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she had to do prong and e-collar.
I see.
Because
Okay.
she could just turn a corner, because she lived in the busy part of Chicago, she was in
Oh,
Bucktown.
right.
So she could turn a corner and it was like dog.
The dog, yeah.
So I was like, you need the prong collar for that physical leverage, while the e-collar can get the dog to shut down
Right.
the reactivity.
Right.
Otherwise, every other dog is just e-collar.
Okay.
Like what you have here, this setup is completely fine.
Okay. Okay.
Is e-collar and slip leash is completely fine.
Okay.
But the reason why it's my go-to tool, because most trainers teach it as a last resort,
I see.
right? It's usually approached as, I think we're gonna have to do e-collar for your dog.
Oh.
Okay, that's usually how it's approached. No, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
e-collar is the best training tool.
Right.
Okay? Every dog that comes to me for training that is older than 6 months, going on the e-collar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Right off the bat, you get on and off leash control. Okay. I've had a number of clients throughout the years. They have the first class, and between class 1 and 2, something happens, and they're like, Jesse, I had the e-collar on, so I was able to like stop my dog's reactivity, or I was able to like return my dog just like, you know, going really high.
Right.
And I was like, I hope I didn't screw it up. I'm like, you didn't screw it up, but that's why I do remote collar, because in moments where you've lost control, you can regain control. Even if you can't control the environment, you can at least control your dog. Okay?
Right.
So it gets a bad rap is all it is.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with what the technology is?
No. I'd like.
To take the correction and then process the correction.
I see.
He has to understand, when I went after you, 1, you weren't phased, right? 2, this thing went off, and it didn't turn off until I stopped what I was doing, right? So it has to be appropriate to him. If I come in at 100, sure, he might stop, but then he might also freak the fuck out because it's so harsh. He's like, I don't know why that happened.
Yeah,
okay?
I see.
So that's why it's always start low, work our way up.
Okay.
And then once we find what the number is, then we know, okay, he's like a 35 whenever for the aggression. He's 20 for his obedience, whatever.
Okay.
You start to learn these things, and
I
you
see.
just kind of go up and down as
Okay.
needed.
Okay.
Question?
He was trained on an e-collar before. My aunt and uncle didn't have him wearing it. When I picked him up, they were like, "Here, take it," and I was like,
From a trainer or themselves?
"No, from a trainer." He went to like an obedience like school thing,
Okay,
but I
he's
don't
got
think that
foundation.
they learned
How to do it.
how to do it because like based on everything you're saying, like why wasn't he wearing it when I picked him up? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's also just like people not following through with training.
I think that's what it probably was, and I don't think they were
consistent.
consistent. And I didn't know how to use it, so I didn't even take. I don't think I even took it with me, or if I did, I just threw it out because I was like, I don't know how to use it, and I don't
Correct.
know what the.
Here's another variable
Yeah.
in all of this, is that if you use the e-collar incorrectly, you can make things worse.
Okay, well then I'm feeling good that I just got rid of it then because I didn't know what I was doing at all.
I'm, you know, maybe either one day you weren't doing it.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised also how many boot camps don't do much follow-up afterwards. They
I
might.
think that was this.
I get clients that pay like $5,000 and they'll get like 30 minutes with the trainer after the program.
Yeah.
And then it's good luck, which is terrible.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
Unfortunately, just, you know, if they're good salespeople, whatever, people get
Yeah.
you know, sucked into it.
Yeah.
But that's another possibility. Like right away when you said, "Oh, he's on e-collar before," my and he went to a boot camp, because I was like, that's why I asked, did they do it or did a professional do it, right?
Yeah.
Because if they did it, then I go, that's another possibility why he was getting worse. Because if
Right.
they were remoting him and didn't condition it correctly,
Yeah.
you're gonna frustrate the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing for the trainer. You'd be surprised how many trainers do not use e-collar correctly, and if he showed them the wrong way, or if they're just misunderstanding how it's applied,
Yeah.
that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just additional FYI.
Okay.
Okay, so now here's a thing about that, is that if he was conditioned incorrectly, he can still learn. He can be reconditioned.
Okay.
Okay. It's not
that's
on. It's I get this a lot, unfortunately, where a client comes and they're like, my dog's on an e-collar, and you'll see the dog like super neurotic,
Yeah.
and I'll tell them their dog wasn't conditioned correctly because of how they're reacting right now.
Right.
I had one dog. It was like 2 years later, and we were here. We were at where those 2 benches were. We were meeting there for the consult, and the dog was just like this, like salivating the entire time.
Oh,
and they go,
gosh.
whenever we put the e-collar on, this is what he does. And I go, it was not conditioned correctly. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, because of that.
Yeah.
I like that I was like, after, especially 2 years later. In the beginning, yes, if you have an anxious dog,
Right.
stress. But then 2 years later, he should be over all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is why we don't like to do it. So then they did the training. we did one class. I told him take 2 weeks before I come for class 2, and then on the next class he was as calm as can be.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he understood, like, okay, this is how it works.
Okay.
Okay. Because a lot of times we just punish the behavior, and if there's no conditioning, the dog doesn't understand why it's happening.
Right.
And that's what creates the neuroticness.
Okay.
Okay. So with the remote collar, we always have to do conditioning first before we start addressing any problem areas.
Okay.
So the first thing that we always cover is heel. Okay.
Okay.
My heel, or the way that I think of heel and teach heel, is very different from most people.
Okay.
So if you were walking with Benji, busy environment, Target, Petco, whatever, right? Is if you say heel, he's at your side, slack leash. If you take 1 step, he takes 1 step.
Yeah.
You take 5 steps, he takes 5 steps. You stop, he automatically sits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This is with no tension on the leash. This
Right.
is not you holding him like this.
Right.
Okay. This is him going, okay, I'm choosing to do these things. The reason why we have to cover heel first is this, one, it fixes like 70% of problems.
Okay.
Okay. If problems are frustration based, a lot of those problems go away.
Okay.
Okay. Because he's getting discipline. He's getting structure. He's getting, okay, I need to focus and then just kind of block out the world and not worry about anything. And like, let's say it doesn't address the aggression stuff. It's not a big deal. Now that we've conditioned the collar, we can now push other things. And then if he triggers, we have the ability to correct them, but now he understands why the correction is happening.
I see.
Okay. I get many a client like, Jesse, but this is my problem. I go, I know it's a problem, but we have to take the time to get the foundation first before we tackle it. Because if I come in and I skip steps and you're doing things incorrectly, we're just going to make things worse.
Right.
Okay. So we always start with heel. It's typically 2 classes.
Okay.
By the 3rd class, I can then navigate however. Okay.
Okay.
So if the 3rd class is, I'm assuming you're wanting to do it in person?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Is at the home, when people are in my house, you know, if he's in the kitchen and they walk into the kitchen, he'll like go after him. I'm like, okay, then we can gotta cover that. If
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So then I start to show you how we address behavior. The biggest thing is always safety. I can do it safely because I have like a sleeve, I have my bite pants, I have all these things, right? So we can push and provoke, correct if needed. The issue is then if friends come over. Right, it's like that's the hard part, is you can't really push as much as I can push because one, in the back of their head, they're always going to be like, what happens if he tries to bite me?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Everyone is like, it's like, again, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They're like, they love him, like my neighbors, my friends, my family, but they're like scared of him now, and I don't blame them. So I'm just kind of keeping him away from people. I'm not letting people into my home right now, and
so like, an answer for that would be, you have friends come over and you can send them to his dog bed where it's like, you're not going to move for the next 3 hours.
Okay.
And then you tell your guests, like, just ignore Benji.
Okay.
Like, don't bother with him.
Yeah.
He's not going to leave his bed, so you don't have to worry about that. But then also don't provoke him by going into his personal space.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
Now, can we push him? Absolutely. It's just the concern would be we have to be able to do so safely.
100%.
In case he triggers.
Yeah.
We have to mitigate risk there.
And he doesn't do that to me, so I feel like I can't do as much of the, like, I feel like I'm missing out on this one part of the training, which is why another reason I feel helpless, because like if you were doing it to me, I'd be like able to give him the business a little bit more. I don't know if it would be right or not, but I would feel like I have more control over it. But since he does not do any of the aggression stuff with me, I feel like it's harder for me to train him.
Yeah. If you can't push the problem, you know, so.
Yeah.
I'll show you here.
Hey, leave it, please.
I'm going to show you a video of a dog that I worked with just this past week. Just the difference.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here, whoops. Okay, so this is the dog.
Oh, wow.
See how there's tension there, how she's twitching?
Yes.
Right? So she doesn't like me, obviously.
Yeah.
And this is her a week later.
Oh, wow.
See how her wagging her tail, she's rubbing against me.
Yeah.
Right? She's wanting the affection here. Okay? Because I pressed her. So I've known this dog for a while. She's been coming to us for about 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
She was not the biggest fan of me, but I didn't care because I was never handling her.
Right.
You know, like she'd see me, she'd growl and all that stuff. I'm like, whatever, I don't care, but you're good with my staff.
Yeah.
But then one day one of my staff members called in sick, so then I had to fill in because I had nobody else to fill in. And then she was there. And then I realized how much tension was there. So fast forward, her owner ended up doing training with me. We pressed things. She got way better. We're good. And then 3-4 months later, like hated me with a passion again. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So he decided, because all my staff she was fine with. It was
Right.
just me. And this is a dog I have nothing, like very, very little to do with.
Right,
So out
right.
of nowhere, she just hates me, right?
Right.
So then he was like, I really would like to have her because it was it was like 10-day stay.
Mm-hmm.
He really wanted her to have a more engaging stay, but at the same time, he's like, can you work on this problem?
Right.
I said, sure. So then I experimented with a number of different things.
Mm-hmm.
First, before I came to my conclusion, I already knew what I was going to have to do, but it was like my due diligence of like, let me try everything else first.
Right, right.
And then ended up she had to be very, very harshly corrected, like super harsh.
Okay.
And then so that video of her being really open to me was after I corrected her harshly.
Right.
Because every other time I was trying to correct her but avoid doing it hard, like a heavy correction.
Right,
you know, knowing that is probably what she needed, because I was worried about, I don't want to agitate her and then my staff has to deal with her.
Yeah.
Because I'm not always around.
Right.
So that was my biggest concern. So finally one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to just get it done today, and I'm here all day, so in case staff can handle her, no big deal, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. And then that happened.
Right.
Because I finally I matched her intensity.
Yeah.
And I said, you're not going to do this towards me, right?
Right.
And then after I corrected her, I took her out, and then we went to the activity room there, and then she was like, okay, cool, we're on good terms now.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
she didn't know that I could go there. That's why I was like, you know, for him, he hasn't been bitten.
Yeah.
Right. And that changes things psychologically. So for me, I was raised old school.
Yeah.
So I was spanked.
Yeah.
When my mom said don't do that, it was just don't do that.
Right.
And then I got spanked for the first time.
Right.
And now don't do that
It means something.
means something.
Yeah.
Exactly. You see how that works?
Oh, yes.
So that's the problem with dogs, is dogs are physical creatures. They communicate their physicality for everything. For play, for affection,
Right.
right? For releasing frustration, like they'll chew on things.
Yeah.
For correction, to set
Right.
boundaries. They use their mouth for everything.
Right.
But humans are taught that to be physical with the dog is abusive, it's mean, it's humane.
Yeah.
Putting an e-collar, that's torture.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, but the dog can bite. Like, this is a dog bite.
Right.
Here.
Right.
This is one dog bite, 10 stitches.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
This is a great thing that didn't want to go in the kennel. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you understand dog psychology and you understand how to push things, right? That's where you start to make a lot of progress. The biggest variable is just everybody else. You know, because you can have a friend go, oh, I'll help you with the exercise.
Right.
And then you go, whatever you do, you're not going to do this. And then you go to start the exercise, and they do the thing you told them not to do,
Right.
and it's the first thing that they do. You don't know how many times I've seen that happen, where I'll tell them, I just told you not to do that.
Right. Right.
So that's why it's a little tricky in that regard. Otherwise, you can have a normal life with him.
Right.
Okay. There's just going to be some limitations based upon everybody else, because, you know, everybody has their own line of thinking and stuff.
Okay.
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 Questions on any of that?
No, that's like helpful. Honestly, like this is his final chance. I like very much after the 2 bites, I was very shook, and I was like, am I gonna have to put him down? Like, I'm so glad I found you, because it's just obviously because he's so sweet with me, but like I can't have him doing that to other people. So
So when it comes to like human aggression stuff, you have to have the most control, because humans are everywhere,
right.
obviously.
Right.
Right. So for the in-person, because we do 3, 6, 9, and 12, I would put you at a 12.
12, okay.
Because of the aggression stuff. The reason is, one, you get full control over everything. So 12 is, let's say there's no aggression, is I want a fully off-leash trainable dog, trained dog, right?
Right.
But we have to, for him, factor in, we're going to need to take classes to address the behavior.
Right.
I don't know how many classes that's going to take. They
Right.
could take 1 class, it could take 3 classes, it could take 4 classes,
Okay.
right? Is that when you have 12, we have enough time to get the obedience stuff done. And I really focus on what I know you'll need.
Right.
Obviously the behavior stuff.
Right.
And as we start progressing, if I go like, oh, okay, we're at, you know, class 9 or 10, behaviorally he's looking really good. Obedience-wise, you're doing good. We have these 2 to 3 classes. What would you like to do with them? Do you want
Okay.
to continue to push them so that you have advanced obedience? Do you want to continue pushing the behavioral stuff? Do you want to pocket them and then see if anything happens in the next 3 months?
I see.
You see what I'm saying? Is that when you do 12, it gives us a bigger window to play with.
Okay.
If you're like 6 classes, I'm like, all right, so there's a lot of
it's,
stuff
like,
to get done.
stressful,
I know.
yeah.
I'm like, I have an ego, so part of me likes
Right.
the challenge, but at the
Right.
same time, I'm gonna go, well, 2 classes for heel, that already takes away 2 from 6, that leaves us with 4.
Right.
So then his behavior stuff takes up 3 classes, now we just have 1 left over, you know? The other thing is, every class you're building on what you learned the last time,
Right.
right? So like today you're gonna leave with some insight. Let's say you move forward, you have class 1, now you're building on what you learned today.
Okay.
You see that? And then so if the longer I have you, the more I try to make you like me,
Right.
right? Where if shit happens, you go, it's okay. Jesse taught me how to figure it out on the fly. 'Cause
Okay.
that's life.
Right.
If he's 5 or 6,
He's about to be 5. Yeah, like
it's 5.
later this month. Yeah, or next month.
You're gonna have this guy another 8, maybe 12 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a long time.
Yeah.
For something to happen. That's stuff that people don't think about, right? Because you've had him for 4 months and you've had 2 incidents so far.
2 more recent ones.
more
He's had a
recent
few. He had a few like at first too, but more about like resource guarding and not
Sure.
as bad. Like more like lunging and stuff. When I got him, I couldn't even like pick something up out of his like area.
Which reminds me, so when we get dogs that in the beginning were touch sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because we're using a collar that isn't aversive, is we can see some of that come back. Just heads up.
Okay, that's good to know.
Because we're going to be using it, correcting them, which is also why we start with non-confrontational things. That's why we start with the healing stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So we apply the collar in a non-confrontational fashion, trying to work around that problem. But what
Okay.
can happen is he goes, hey, that thing is coming out, and I know what that thing does.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we start to see defensiveness.
Okay.
So I can show you how to work around it. So like, for example, for Willow, that was the dog that you saw in the video.
Oh, yeah,
okay. The other part of why I got her to where I got her is because she was still trying to be aggressive towards me. I was just working past it and going, I'm going to walk you anyways. I'm going to take you to the activity room anyways. I'm going to take you and train you anyways, right? So she's like, all right, well, I'm trying to go after you. You're not fazed by it.
Right.
You put the leash and the collar on and everything on anyways, and then we do the training anyways. So why am I going to keep doing it if it's not working with you?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if he were to become defensive to you, like you would, tell me, I'm like, okay, I would either say, don't do anything yet, or, just wait till we have the next class, and then we'll work on how do we try to get him collared up when he's acting this way.
Right.
Now, one thing that I'll encourage, and I'll encourage it now, is muzzle conditioning.
Yeah, I just got him one. He can do the soft one, but I just got him the basket muzzle, and
basket
I'm
one?
working on
Perfect.
trying to figure it out because he has a groom this week, and I'm like nervous about it. He's
Sure.
been groomed before, no
If you can
muzzle,
do
I'm
them- If you
fine.
can
But
do the cloth one, it shouldn't be a problem. 'Cause
Really?
That's what they use.
Okay.
Correct. So they're called grooming muzzles.
Okay.
Because they're meant for short periods of time, so that the groomers can do their thing and not worry about the dog biting them.
Okay,
Right? The
okay.
basket one is meant for extended use.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
the difference.
he can wear the cloth one. He's fine. He can
Yes.
put that one on,
So
no
then you
biggie.
should be good for that grooming appointment. then.
Okay. Okay.
Just bring it with you, and I'll just ask them if they have a preference that you have him muzzled beforehand,
Okay.
as opposed to letting them figure it out on their own.
Okay. Yeah.
So the basket one, the reason why it's important to muzzle condition is that muzzle allows us to push the most, right?
Right.
So now it's like, okay, I'm gonna have 8 friends come over. He's never been around 8 friends at once before, right? Muzzle.
Okay.
So in case
Yeah.
somebody moves the wrong way, right? They
Yeah.
get too close, they jump up and clap, and he doesn't like it, right?
Right.
Even if he tries to attack them,
No.
it's going to mitigate a lot of risk.
Right,
Okay, unless they're
right.
putting their finger into the
Yeah.
basket of the hole of the basket,
Right.
it's going to mitigate a lot of risk, right? Because it allows you to push the most for the behavioral stuff.
Right.
And then still be able to correct him. Because technically speaking, a dog has to be corrected as they're thinking and or in the act of the behavior.
All right.
Okay, in order for it to relate.
Yeah.
If you attack someone and then you come, 5 minutes later and he's forgotten about it and then you correct him, it does nothing.
Yeah.
He's lost the moment.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So for the training, so you recommend it for the 12. Is it like once a week?
Once a week for an hour.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, every case is different. I have in my head an approach. Once it gets started, then I know for sure, right? So first class, always heel. Okay. Class 2, almost always heel part 2.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say we do heel, and then you email me, hey Jesse, he's being defensive when I try to touch him again. I go, okay, now class 2 is going to be how do we work around that problem?
Yeah.
You see that? And that's also where your muzzle comes into play too. So then it allows you like, okay, if I muzzle him and then 15 minutes later I can grab the collar and put it on him.
Yeah.
Even if he tries to do stuff, it's okay. We have that buffer.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I was like, in my head, I already have what I would do, but how he responds, how you respond, all that stuff changes things.
Okay.
But also, it gives us time to fix or classes to fix problems that may crop up.
Okay.
So when we're correcting behaviors and confronting behaviors, things can look worse
Okay.
because you're confronting the problem.
Got it.
You see that? You're telling him
Yeah.
you're not going to do that. So he's like, who are you to tell me I'm not going to do it? Right?
Yeah.
That's why it looks worse.
Right.
Okay. It's not making him worse. You have what you want. He has what he wants, and that's what we're going to bat heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Or it could be easy peasy. Every case is different.
I don't think he will be. He's
Okay.
very smart and he's very stubborn. Like even today, my mom came over for like a second and I was trying to tell him to get in his pen. He was mad. She was leaving and I was like, go to your pen. And every time I say go to your pen, he runs over, he sits in there, it's fine. He was not wanting to go this morning and I was like, I mean, I like made him follow through, but it was a battle. I don't
Sure.
think he will go silently, I guess is what I'm saying.
No. It's always, I always expect that.
Yeah.
And typically, I always paint things worst case scenario for the human because I'll tell them, at the end of the day, if it's this, you have to think, am I willing to do everything in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then I go, then I really can't help you.
Yeah, right.
If the answer is yes, then I go, I can help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
know? And everybody has limitations. It's happened in the past. But I'm very upfront with it because I've seen this so much. Like it's emotionally stressful.
Yeah.
It can be financially stressful because you're investing a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So you can keep this dog that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm training my dog so that, like, if he was a really good dog, it's just like, I
Right.
want to train him so I can do more stuff with my good dog, right?
Right,
Whereas,
right.
like, I got this dog who's not the greatest, and I
Yeah.
would like to be able to live my life with him and have a normal life, and not going to pay for it too.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I can take you only as far as you're willing to go,
Okay.
is the easiest way that I can put it.
Okay.
Okay? Questions on any of that?
Yeah, no, I think I'm willing to go. I feel like being here, I'm like willing to do it. If he bites me, I don't care. If he gets worse, I don't care. Like, I love him. I want him to be
And my job is to
my dog.
help you train him as safely as possible.
Yeah.
Have I had clients in the past get bit? Yes,
Yeah.
almost always because they did something I told them not
Not
to
to
do,
do it.
or they misinterpreted what I said and then did it the wrong way.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
Which is why I love having the videos now, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I had one client like argue with me like, this is what you told me to do. I was like,
Oh.
no, I didn't. I was like,
You're like, I have
I've never said that to anybody,
Yeah.
and I got it on camera, so don't even give me that, right?
Right.
But yeah, like that's why when I said, oh yeah, going back to the touch sensitivity thing, if we do the collar and he ties that together, that may come around again, right?
Right.
Just making sure that's very transparent because I've had it in the past where
Right.
someone said like, oh yeah, like I can do that, and then they couldn't do it, and they give up after the second
Right.
class.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not on me because
Yeah.
I called this out
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
get-go.
Right.
You know? But yeah, let me think here. How much does he weigh?
He's 24 pounds, I
24?
think. Just
So,
last week when we took him to the
You
vet.
have a couple of options.
Okay.
Technically, the collar that would be appropriate to him is and Tina will send you this information, is
Okay.
an Ultra 280C. Okay.
Okay.
It's meant for a 35-pound dog and under.
Okay.
The only thing is, whenever I'm dealing with an aggression type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is in like Willow, for example, I need to use 2 collars to correct her. So that's what I meant by very harshly.
Yeah.
So she was on a max powered collar, which is meant for a Rottweiler, like a 70-pound dog and
Yeah.
over. Okay, it's her collar. I was maxed out, and she could care less about it. She was still trying to go after me. So I already in my head knew I'm going to need a second collar, but I wanted to try everything else first.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Then finally, I was like, all right, it's been a week. You're still at it. I had you. You get a second collar and you pair it. So it's 1 remote, 2 collars.
Okay.
Okay. So they both go off at the same time. And I started at 15, and I worked all my way up. And when I hit 70, 80 on both collars, she finally stopped.
Wow.
So that's what I meant about like they'll give it up.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of are you willing to do that, right?
Yeah.
So her aggression plus her pits are bred for fighting. Like that's why they're also very physically tough. So once I matched her, that's when you saw the shift in behavior. So for him, he doesn't need 2 collars. But if I'm dealing with aggression, even though he's a little floof guy, a lot of times I just recommend go a step higher.
Okay.
Because in case we end up in a situation where it's like, oh, I need more power, like you already have it. Like you don't have to worry
I
about
see.
it.
And we can always keep it on like the low, whatever.
Yeah, so
for like
the only difference is you
yeah.
get more from less.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, on the 280C, his number could be, let's say it's 50.
Okay.
And on the higher powered collar, it could be 25.
I see.
You're just getting more from less. The
Okay.
only other difference is that because it's more power, bigger collar, okay, and he's a little guy, so it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. However, if you rather just move forward and not have to worry about it, because the other thing is, let's say we go with the smaller collar, and then on class 6 we realize, well, we need the higher powered collar. Now it's too late. You can't exchange it. You can't return it because it's 2-3 months later, right? But if you come in and you go, sure, whatever, he's going to look a little goofy because he's got this big collar on him. But then you have nothing to worry about.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Is the difference. Okay. If you didn't have the aggression stuff, then I would say the 280C, no problem. Okay. That's the only reason.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I think he's pretty far into the aggression stuff.
So the collar that I recommend is the Black Edition. It runs like $340-ish with tax. If you get it through us, you do get 10% off, which drops it down to like $300, $305-ish. Taxes included.
Okay.
And then Tina will send you that information.
Okay.
Trying to think here. It's once a week for an hour.
Okay.
When it's like the obedience stuff, we can meet here. So it's typically where I train on the weekends. So like where those 2 benches are, where that path is, that's typically where you can find me.
Okay.
If I'm not there, then I might be eating lunch or something.
Okay.
When it comes to like the behavioral stuff, we'd either meet at my facility or at your home.
Okay.
Because we don't have to worry about the distraction.
Right.
Things like that. Or people are like, what are you doing with this dog?
Yeah.
Okay. The obedience stuff, no issue. It's the behavior stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a $50 upcharge for in-home visits. I have to leave where I'm at and then go to you.
Right.
Typically, it's at different times. Usually what I recommend for clients is, obviously we meet here, right? Do the obedience stuff, all the stuff that we can. If there's anything that I can press at the facility, like for example, touch sensitivity, that's me actually touching him and poking and prodding to see if he provoke anything. I can do that in my facility. If it's, when people come over, he like goes apeshit, that obviously has to be done in the home. So I try to do a lot outside of the home to help save the client money.
Right.
But there are certain things that I go, we can only do that in the home setting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that we build those as needed.
Okay.
So if it's like, okay, next class is going to be an in-home, then she would bill you the $50 or whatever.
Okay.
Other questions?
No, I think. Oh, do the classes ever like expire? Like, okay.
No.
Okay, because I was to say, I was like, he's really smart, so like he might get the obedience stuff really fast. It's like that.
Stuff.
It's the behavior. Like he can heal. I think he'll be heal. Like I don't want to sound overconfident, but like he heals pretty well already, and like, but it'll be like adjusting to like the new command words and stuff. I'm sure, and yeah. But that's good that they don't expire. So if we need the other ones,
especially with behavior,
I'll
tell you, okay, I suggest having a break here and then come back in 2 to 3 months. Or come back when you're ready. Yeah. Right? And it could be either for behavior, it could be for off-leash obedience. So I have a client that I was supposed to see, what's today, Sunday? Tomorrow. He had his 10th class last Monday, and he didn't think we were going to get to the point of off-leash.
Yeah.
So we got to the point where I'm like, okay, now you're training for off-leash. I don't want to see you next week. I want to see you when you're ready, because you need time to practice, make mistakes, right?
Right.
For off-leash stuff, you have to go to the park to practice, right? In your case, for the behavior, you have to press it. So you could have, guests come over every day, but then people get sick, and it's like only a person came over once this week, and we were able to do anything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
And the other thing about behavior is I tell people, don't press beyond what is normal for you.
Right.
Because I've had clients, they'll have people come over day after day.
Oh, God.
And then they're like completely antisocial. They're like, Jesse, we have people like once a month. I'm like, why are we even doing
every
this
day?
then?
Yeah.
Like,
this does not make sense.
I'm like, you guys have created this, like what's going to happen is the dog's going to go back.
Right.
Because you got them used to every day. And then it's like with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
When COVID, I knew as soon as everything got shut down, separation anxiety and territorial behavior were going to go through the roof, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, he has separation anxiety too.
Okay, so we can address that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing about the 12. Is I have so much time to address things, or if it's like, hey, I forgot to tell you, he's also got this problem, right?
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool. Do you want to address it? No problem.
Right.
The only things he has to learn are the heel. That is the core foundation for everything.
Absolutely.
Stationary control would probably be beneficial, so you can have people come over. Because there's something to do there. Every dog should know recall. So you get off-leash recall, which opens them up to be able to do a lot of stuff here in the city of Chicago. And then everything else is kind of superficial, but we play it by ear. Okay. I try not to teach things that I don't think the owner's going to use. I typically ask first.
Okay.
If it's like, what do we do today? I'm like, well, how's the behavior doing? It's great. How's this going? Oh, it's great. How's
Mm-hmm.
this going? Oh, this is great. Okay. Well, I can teach these things. Which one do you want to, which one is beneficial to you?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
A lot of trainers teach stuff that the human's not going to need,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a waste of time.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, the last thing would be, when does the collar go away? It's a very common question that I get.
Yeah.
In my book, when you need it, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're gonna have people come over, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
If you take him to a friend's house, you need it. If he's gonna be off leash at the park, you need it. Okay. If he's inside the home with you and it's just you and him and he's a perfect dog, you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not because of my skills as a trainer or anything like that. It's by what's called opportunistic behavior. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
Do you drive?
Yes.
Do you go on the expressway?
Yes.
Do you go the speed limit?
No.
No. Okay. You see a squad car, what happens?
Slow down.
You pass the squad car, it's clear what happens.
Speed up.
That's opportunistic behavior.
Okay.
Okay. If there's consequence, you're going to drive better.
Mm-hmm.
When consequence is gone, you're going to press the boundary. All animals do this. It's just instinctual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For him, it's the same thing, right?
Leave it.
If guests come over and he doesn't get that collar on,
Leave it.
then he's going to go, why do I have to?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So the collar is just there to let them know like consequences available.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're doing the homework as I've taught you,
Mm-hmm.
the use of the collar drops dramatically.
Okay.
It's just present in case something happens.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Let's say you go 6 months. He's a
Mhm.
great dog. And then one day somebody decides to crouch down and then put their face in his face because he's a little floof, right?
Yeah.
Something's probably going to happen. Now I have my collar to address the situation.
Mhm.
You see that? So, if a client is using the collar regularly, like they're tapping all the
Mhm.
time, I already know they're doing something wrong, and the answer is almost always they're too low.
I see.
You see that?
Hey,
they're
leave
too
it.
low.
Sit down.
Because they're trying to be nice with the dog or what have you, which I understand.
Yeah.
But because it's too low, the dog doesn't take it serious.
Right.
And now
Right.
you're managing the dog.
Yeah.
Okay? And obedience has to be tight, because if you can't make your dog sit and hold it for 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to tell your dog to stop being aggressive?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see that? Like I tell the
Right.
humans, like the obedience stuff is mundane. It's simple
Mhm.
stuff, right?
Mhm.
But the power is, I told you to do something
Yeah.
and you broke, and I'm going to correct you for breaking it. And he's like,
Right.
well, shit, if I get corrected just for breaking the sit,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen if I try to bite this person?
Yeah.
You see
Sit.
that? So that's why the obedience also has to be there, because it gives us something that it empowers us on a regular basis to
Mhm.
keep everything in play.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he doesn't learn, like you don't, that biting people is bad. Just like you know that speeding is bad, running a
Yeah.
red light is bad,
Mhm.
stealing is bad, right? You
Mhm.
know that, so you're like, okay, I'm just gonna not do those things.
Mhm.
Dogs don't do that. He just goes, okay, I want to do this. Can I get away with it?
Right.
Oh, is that collar here? No. Let me try. Is mom gonna be able to stop me? No. Okay, cool. I got what I wanted.
Mhm.
And now it becomes a gambler,
Mhm.
right? Or if it's like, oh, she corrected me, but she's at a 10. I need a 50, right? Then he's like, you don't mean it. And then he's going
Right.
to continue to be the same way.
Right.
Yes. So that's why for Willow, once I matched her with the 2 collars, she was
Mhm.
like, shit, you're willing to go there? I go, yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're fine.
Yeah.
You see that? So, questions?
No, I think this all sounds good. I've not been tough enough with him. I think like I've been doing a lot to build like the trust and the bond stuff, and I think that's what's like made it so that he does. And I think he knows I'm like tougher
he
than a lot
trusts
of the
you. Yeah,
enforcement
yeah.
that he's had in the past.
Mhm.
But I'm like, I need to be tougher. So I'm like, I don't care if I'm yelling at him in the park, like, or correcting him in the park, like, and I get weird looks, like,
Sure. Well, we don't need to yell.
yeah, I guess now we're not gonna have to
Don't
yell.
yell.
No more yelling, Ben.
So, and how that helps the relationship is that, we get frustrated,
Mhm.
right? Especially for you, because you pulled him out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
You've given him a stable home,
Mhm.
but now he's giving you these problems.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes we could take it personally,
Mhm.
or we get frustrated because, like, dude, like, why would you be like this with me when I'm
Right.
giving you a better life, right? That's
Yeah.
the human component.
Yeah.
Once you actually have a dog that responds
Mhm.
and is obedient,
Mhm.
and you go, oh, wow, I was able to stop his aggression like that,
Mhm.
frustration starts to go away, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, what creates the frustration is you're telling him to stop something or
Right.
to do something, and he's not
It's
doing
not-
it.
Yeah.
Yes. So all that stuff goes away.
Okay.
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 Anything else?
Can I look at my list? Sorry, I made a list
Yeah,
of
go for it.
questions. I just want to make sure. that I have. Oh, for the sessions, like where if you were to like come to my house, because most of his aggression is at the home, like would there be a situation like where we would bring other people in, like my sister, and we can try to train with
Whatever you
like
want.
other people? Okay. Okay,
The
that was the only other
time
thing I had.
say we avoid that is the first class.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
It's gonna be. I mean, they're welcome to be there to watch.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a person or two,
Yeah.
especially if they're people that would handle him.
yeah.
Because so typically what happens is I come over, I take the blunt of the aggression.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're setting a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say he doesn't want to be touched. I'm gonna
Sit.
touch him. He's gonna trigger. That's what I did with Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I correct,
Mm-hmm.
and then I touch again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm taking the blunt of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I go, this is good. Now you do this
Mhm.
with everybody else.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay, perfect.
Other
Yeah.
questions?
No, I think that's it. We're ready to work. So, oh, did we get like homework, like stuff that I'm
yeah.
working with him? Okay, cool.
I don't do homework sheets, but I'll
Yeah,
give you,
okay,
I'll verbally
okay.
give you homework.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect, perfect.
I have honestly thought about that though.
Yeah,
Like giving people sheets or whatever to see if it would do it.
yeah.
But
Okay, no, perfect. That's good. I just feel like I need like direction and structure. Like I'm
yeah.
willing to do whatever it takes. Sit. I just need, to make sure I have enough of that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we're good then.
okay. So when it comes to the booking process, you can talk to Tina.
Okay.
If you want to expedite things, you would say, hey, Tina, Jesse recommended this. I'm going to go with what he recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that's the first thing she's going to ask.
Okay.
So then she already has her schedule. She
Mhm.
can start looking at my schedule and your schedule.
Okay.
She'll send you the contract. Once you submit that, then she knows you're serious. We
Okay.
are first come, first serve, obviously.
Right, right.
And then she'll give you the prospective times. You know, you pick your time, pay your invoice, all that stuff.
Okay.
And then I see you whenever
Okay.
you're scheduled for.
Okay. Perfect.
We do have a 48-hour cancellation policy. So like, let's say, you're going to be out of town and you cancel, 48 hours in advance, no big deal. We usually just push back.
Okay.
You don't lose the class.
Right.
If you cancel within the 48 hours, we give everybody a last minute cancellation.
Okay.
It's hard to fill my calendar.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing is, now that I'm here, is that it's even more difficult because I'm just sitting here for a dead hour.
Yeah.
Whereas at my facility, I can do stuff.
Right, right.
But that's the reason for it. If you cancel within 5 hours of your lesson, it is just counted as the class.
Okay.
Because it's so late in the day, it's like
Yeah.
I can't do anything, whatever. But as long as you cancel 48 hours in advance, no big deal.
Okay.
We just push back typically.
Okay.
What ends up happening is, like, let's say you pick Saturday at or Sunday at 12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday at 12 for 13 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 12 plus 1.
Got it.
That is your time.
Okay.
No one's going to be able to take it from you. Every now and then we have someone who booked in the past, like book a one-off or
Got it.
something, and she'll
Okay.
reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, that's your time slot.
Okay.
But if, let's say, if you go out of town 4 out of those 13 weeks, there might come a point where it's like, okay, we hit the 13th week, you've used up your priority. You still have your classes.
Right.
But she books my calendar ahead of time. So if there's somebody else that needed Sunday at 12 o'clock, she's booking them when she's
Right.
thinking your program's going to end.
Right.
Right? So then she'll just reach out and go, hey, you have 4 classes left. We have to move you now because you used up your priority.
Mhm.
Okay? And then we would just finish them off whenever at a different time. Okay?
No worries. I am here the rest of the summer. This is what I'm doing this summer.
Gotcha.
Working on this. I have no trips, no nothing. I'm like, nothing until like end of August.
Okay. And then any dogs that we've trained are welcome to board with us if you end up needing.
That's 100. That's like one of the reasons I pick you too, because I was like, you said it, you hit the nail on the head of like, how am I going to trust him with someone else? Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to
Many of the
board him
dogs
with
that
you.
come to us can only come to us. I
Yeah.
get dogs that come from like 2 hours away.
Oh, wow.
Some from Indiana, some from Wisconsin.
Wow, yeah.
Because we're the only person in this area that can
Yeah.
take them.
Yeah.
So just so you have the information,
Mm-hmm.
we suggest the dogs do an eval.
Oh, sure.
Okay. And this is closer to the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
okay.
you don't have to worry about it now. Closer
Okay.
to the date. To acclimate him, it's more for him than for us.
Right.
It's to get him used to, okay, mom dropped me off.
Mm-hmm.
Stressful.
Yeah.
Mom picked me up. I go
Yeah.
home.
Okay.
It's 2 to 3 days. You don't have to do all 3 days, but at least 2.
Okay.
And then you bring him for his boarding stay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to get a fecal anytime soon, we
Yeah.
tell you to wait until you're going to board him.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
So we need clear fecals about a week before the boarding stay,
Okay.
especially for dogs that we see irregularly.
Yeah.
If we see a dog daily, like not daily, but once a week, like for daycare
Yeah, like
or
for
whatever,
daycare.
it's not a problem.
Okay.
Then it's a year.
Okay.
Otherwise, I get dogs that come from like St. Charles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 3 times a year. So for them, they always provide a clear fecal because we're not seeing them for months at a time.
Right, right.
And you know, well, people, they think that the fecal means the dog is clear for a year. I go, no.
Yeah.
Your dog's just clear
No,
right now.
right now,
But
yeah.
the next day after taking the fecal, they could eat something off the ground
For
and
sure.
then get giardia. Like that's
Right,
but
right.
they don't think like that.
Yeah.
So we've caught a lot of cases of giardia
Oh wow. Yeah.
because of this policy.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest reason
good.
why.
Okay.
Vaccinations, assuming that they're up to date, you know,
Yeah.
you send those over or what have you. But when that time comes, you can just reach out
Okay.
and then we'll get you set up because we have like a boarding for software. So you make a profile. It has like any allergies, you know, all his information, his
Okay.
vaccination records, whatever.
Okay.
And then he's welcome to board with us or do
Okay.
daycare or whatever.
Okay. So he has to kind of complete the program first, or most of it, or like.
Once you get far, if it's in August, we have plenty of time to get far
Okay,
enough along.
I was thinking more for like daycare. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm working from home for the next month. I'm just using my work from home month.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I will have to go back in office a little bit. And I'm like, he can't go back to his previous daycare. He's very friendly with dogs. He's never had a problem at his daycare. I'm just like,
Yeah,
not
just in
pushing
case.
it. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not doing it. So.
No, he at that point he'd be fine.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about
Okay.
it.
Okay,
But
perfect.
but yeah, if you need to get a fecal, just wait.
Yeah.
Because we've had clients, they do one,
Yeah.
and then a month later they
They
come
have
to
to
us,
do
we're like,
it.
sorry, you had to do
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so
No worries.
but yeah,
Okay.
shouldn't be an
Perfect.
issue.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'll look for all the
Yeah.
stuff from
Good
Tina.
talking to you.
Yes.
Yep.
Nice to talk to you.
And
too.
then I'll take your mic before
Oh
you
sure.
go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Okay, any questions, you just let us know.